you guys, welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we are doing a recap of Married at First Sight Boston Season 14, Episode 13, Popping the Questions Recap. So, before we unpack the drama from this episode, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. You like the video? Smash the like button, and also feel free to drop a comment down in the comments section below. So, without further ado, let's talk about what happened this week. So, actually, with this particular episode, what we got to see is the couples had gotten help from two experts this week, Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper, who seemingly is supposed to be guiding them through the process. And there were some ups, some downs, twists, and turns from this episode. So, yeah, we might as well talk about it. So, the show kind of started off this episode with both Olajuwon and Katina making their first grocery shopping trip together as they kind of figure out what they want to, get to prepare some dinners. Now she definitely have some ideas. We see her and him making jokes about each other's cooking abilities, but for them, it seems like they're having fun and it's very positive experience that they're having. Especially since we got to see all of the drama from the previous week. Um, Now, I think remember Lindsay and Mark did a grocery trip too, and they didn't have as much fun as these two did, because of everything that had happened and her picking everything and going past the grocery budget. But with Olajuwon and Katina, they definitely keeping it light. They're having fun with each other. They're trying to create competitions with each other in regards to who can cook the best fried chicken. So, they're having fun. I mean, I can't knock it. I'm not going to try to create something that's not there. I know a lot of people are very biased toward this couple, but it seems like they actually are making the best of it in this particular scene. So we'll have more to talk about them later in this recap video. So who we're going to talk about next is Noy and Steve. So this particular couple go on a meet and greet with both Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper. We see Noy, of course, meeting with Pastor Cal. He brought up, the whole thing with how her posting these cryptic messages on social media can have an impact, a negative one, on her and Steve's relationship. He told her that it's never the way to deal with the problem, and in the future, you need to do something differently. Talk to him about it. He asked her what she needs to feel supported in a relationship. And again, she's still focused on this whole financial stability being the key, considering her, poor upbringing. Um, but I don't know if you guys saw the after party, and pretty much if you haven't seen that clip, I posted it on my TikTok. I'm now on TikTok at Romance Review TV One, and then if you follow me on IG, I also posted that after party clip in my IG Reels, where Steve is pretty much putting it out there to the world. He's good because he's a tech guy. He's built apps and sold them off. So obviously he walked away with a bag when it comes to that. But for whatever reason, Noy is not trusting the fact that even though, he might have money and he's an entrepreneur, just the fact that it's the stability and a plan is the issue for her. So we'll have to see how that's going to all work out. Now, we then see Steve chatting with, having a conversation with Dr. Pepper about his feelings toward Noy's social media use as well, and is advised to be very direct about his feelings around Noy, and kind of also when it comes to the financial plan, make sure that he kind of ease her concerns and tensions about it. So they finally come together and they have a conversation about what they spoke to the experts about. Um, They bring up topics where they discussed in the meetings where while Steve agrees to sit down and map out a financial plan, Noy is starting to be resistant to taking Pastor Cal's advice about social media, saying she's perfectly capable of making her own choices. And that's just not a good look, Noy. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong making your own. I mean, making your own choices. But the thing is, it affects your husband, especially when you put cryptic messages. And also, if you watch After Party, some of his family members were checking in on him to see if he was okay when she posted that on social media because his family follows her. So she has to be mindful of that. But they did finally get a chance to sit down and organize finances. Steve did kind of gave her some comfortability that he is willing to work at whatever level she feels comfortable with. I mean, she was real nonchalant about this. I don't know if she just didn't agree or was she actually there in the moment, but it was weird. They also begin to talk about family planning. They want to have a baby in the next year if they stay together. And then they start joking about this whole thing about changing diapers. And, you know, it, I don't know. I think that was kind of being funny or whatever, but it seemed like the show wanted to make it as a contention piece. So I'm not sure about that one, but we'll have to see. I think if she kind of gets an idea that she's financially secure and that, Steve is going to bring that, I think she'll be fine. I really do. But also think she got to ease up a little bit. So, all right. So, the next couple we are going to talk about is, and we did talk about this couple a little bit earlier, but it's their time to have conversations. So we did see Olajuwon did have to sit down with Dr. Pepper. But when she started talking about what she's heard and the hearsay about how he belittles and speaks down to Katina, he defends himself, thinking that, you should ask about what we're doing in our relationship versus hearsay. Um, and that he's definitely defending his specific way of communicating, and he pretty much tried to reassure Dr. Pepper that everything is good between them. And the question that I have been seeing, and even um, one of the members on my IG channel asked, she said, would it have been better for Olajuwon to meet up with Pastor Cal versus the other way around? Because I think some people are saying that Olajuwon tends to look to Pastor Cal as a father figure or a mentor at that level. So, I mean, honestly, I would have liked to see that as well. I know sometimes production put people in situations to trigger a response, and especially with what she said and how he responded to it, it just, yeah, he wasn't feeling it. He's at looking at this as him being painted as the villain at it. And right now, there is no other villain. The other couples are messy. Our villain left this season, which was Alyssa. So of course they have to make some contrast. But a lot of people they're not feeling. Oh, and there's the other half of the spectrum that doesn't see anything wrong with him, and that he adores Katina. So we'll have to continue to watch. My thing is, I like to watch people after the season. I want to see them away from the cameras and what their lives are like outside of film. So, I take with a grain of salt what I see on the show. I recap it and everything, but at the same time, I kind of want to see what happens with these people outside. Only other thing too I want to point out is she mentioned something, and you know what? I'll touch that a little bit later when we talk about the beach situation. So let's move on to Pastor Cal conversation um, with Katina. So Katina is definitely nervous when it came time to meet up with him. He's listening as she opens up about the dating app drama, which, if you guys know where I stand on that whole dating app, you know, situation. Um, where Olajuwon found an unused app. on her phone and the whole drama that came with that. And Pastor Cal gave advice that when things like that come to the forefront, Katina should ask Olajuwon about his triggers to better understand, the waters and where she should steer clear of. So, like I said, I couldn't put too much stock in that because there was so many editing errors and situations with that phone. So who knows if it was legit or not? But the advice that Pastor Cal and pretty much gave, it was good. It was good advice. It definitely made sense. So there's definitely more to come with this couple when we get to the beach situation. But let's move on to our next couple, which is Mark and Lindsay. So Lindsay meets up and open up with Dr. Pepper because she is really frustrated about Mark being inconsistent. She tells Dr. Pepper that she is sad all the time and that aggression and anger are used to cover it. Um, and with Mark met with Pastor Cal. He discussed Lindsay's aggressiveness and approach to conversations, which Mark did admit reminds him of his parents' arguments, which, of course, Pastor Cal asked if Mark is more like his father than anything. And that was a pretty tense scene because he definitely tensed up. But it was almost like a breakthrough for Mark as well because he actually realized and discovered that he is pretty much like his dad. So Pastor Cal suggested to him that he look at Lindsay as her own individual instead of kind of applying what he saw through the lens of his mom and, you know, doing it that way. And I thought that was really good advice. This is the type of stuff that I like to see on the show. When there are issues, when the experts truly dig deep and try to create breakthroughs for realization, I really like that particular scene. So, following the meetings with the experts, it seemed like both Lindsay and Mark did have somewhat of a breakthrough, especially when Mark broke down how Pastor Cal kind of, opened that up in regards to him being more like his father. And it kind of had him teary eyed. And it was nice to see Lindsay, console him. So they seem like they had pretty much a breakthrough and they talk about, what needs to change in their relationship. And then they hugged it out. So I thought that was a really, really good scene that happened between these two. So then we have both, we're going to talk about our next couple, which is Michael and Jasmina. So Michael and Jasmina seems to be pretty much in a positive space right now. They did get to meet separately with the experts. Michael mentioned that he had been doing things out of obligation at the beginning of the marriage, but he's now doing things not out of obligation, but because he actually wants to do it. And so Pastor Cal wanted Michael to recognize the progress that they have made, but they still get to talk about the issues with intimacy. So Pastor Cal kind of tells Michael to initiate, and whatever that is, touch, even how minimal it is to try to build, some form of a connection with Jasmina. And then on the flip side, Jasmina also had a conversation with Dr. Pepper. And she said that she is opening up. She's becoming more vulnerable, but she wants to feel a deeper connection as well and wishes Michael would be more open about his past. Now, Dr. Pepper and the advice that she gave Jazz was that, she should be direct and ask him to open up. And that's a good point. If you want information from somebody, you got to ask. You have some people who's going to volunteer, but if you want to know something, you got to ask. You got to open up your mouth and say, "Hey, I need to know this." So they did meet up and they discussed the topics that they, discussed with the experts. And I mean, it seems like there may be some hope, but there's still a lot of hesitation and walls up in this relationship. So they got some work to do. And then one thing that's interesting, even though Michael wants to touch her, Jazz said even when when he does touch her, she feels nothing. So that says a lot. I mean, I really don't think she's into him. It's not that she don't find him attractive. I've seen some people was like, "Oh, is he too hairy?" I just think she's not into him. There's no chemistry there. Or, they definitely have fun with each other, but that could be as much as a friendship. So, yeah, I don't see it there. I had high hopes in the beginning, but I don't think it's going to happen between these two. So, let us keep moving. All right. So, toward the end of the episode, they had this group activity playing volleyball with each other. Noi didn't go because she had a terrible headache. Pascal actually was there, but they were watching because they wanted to observe how they interact with each other. And experts noticed that, Olajuwon and Katina definitely have very special communication with each other. Um, However, they did notice there's some distance and separation when it came to Mark and Lindsay. So the couples got a chance to sit around and kind of talk about their experiences with the expert. And, Mike and Jazz, they opened up about their improvements. Lindsay and Mark agree that they're at odds mostly regarding their relationship. And then Olajuwon takes a moment first to apologize to the group for calling Katina's dating app situation publicly before sharing his thoughts in regards to his meeting with Dr. Pepper. And this is where he says that he was annoyed because it felt like Dr. Pepper wanted to make him look like the bad guy. Now, he's saying all of this unaware that these experts are actually watching. And when, Cal and Dr. Pepper actually showed up on the beach, yeah, his face dropped. Definitely. Uh, the experts definitely dive in on Olajuwon's statement with Dr. Pepper saying regarding the feelings toward the advice, the success of his marriage to Katina is always the goal. And that's a good point. But the problem is how people are being portrayed on these shows. And one of the things that I will say is very, very contradictory and interesting that Dr. Pepper said in this interaction. And she said, because, Olajuwon asked, what's up with the hearsay? Who's telling you this? You tell me who's saying this. And I thought maybe he meant or she meant that one of the other couples was saying this. Dr. Pepper said, America has been speaking out and to letting us know, and I need to share what the viewers think. And I'm like, that's really not possible because this was filmed in August 2021. We didn't see it to April 2022. So for her to actually say that, it's a delusion tactic, just, because people are watching it in real time and it's actually filmed 6 months ago. So I found that pretty interesting that she actually said that. It's like, wait a minute, nobody has seen that at the time of filming. So what are you talking about? America has spoken to you. We wasn't gonna see it for another 6 months in a whole new year. So, that's why I pay attention to everything. I just don't go with, being triggered by what I see because sometimes if you pay real close attention to what happens on these shows, you'll see how editing and how what they say can definitely try to trigger responses out of the fans. But enough of that. So like I said, I will say I give her credit on the part where she said regardless of his feelings toward their advice, what matters at the end of the day is the success of their marriage on the show and once they leave, right? So, um, this is where they question Olajuwon's feeling about Katina, and he admits that he hasn't dropped the L word yet. And one thing, guys, people always think that love is a just a feeling. And of course, you can feel love, you can make love, things like that, but love is actually a commitment. Through tough times, ups and downs, how committed are you in the relationship? That is the true definition of what love really is. So I'm glad that Pastor Cal was the one that really brought that out. Then they kind of switched over to Mark and Lindsay because Dr. Pepper, um, was talking about how she needs to let the aggression and anger go toward Mark, and Mark to show that he's present in the moment and caring by connecting with her in the way that she needs to be connected to. So I thought that was good. Michael and Jazz, they open up about their new vulnerability with each other, but the experts want them to start connecting more on a physical level as well as an emotional level. So we'll see if this is a situation where this could actually, work. If this is a situation that could actually work with these couples, we're coming down to like 2.5 weeks. Next week is the retreat. And if you haven't checked out the after party episode, go check that out. I mean, we had Olajuwon, Steve, and Mark on the show, and I mean, actually, Keisha asked them, "You're behind the scenes. How do you see Olajuwon with Katina?" And they spill it all out. They both have their opinions, and so go check that out because a lot of people feel a certain way because he is very direct. He tells people how he feels. There's a little added emotion in there, and he also have a certain standard for himself, and, here's the interesting thing, most people do have standards, both men and women. Women have standards for men as well, and they're very vocal about what they want. So, I mean, it goes both ways. It's just how you communicate, right? Alright, you guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this recap video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.